online or in person, whomever you love.
Come. Come and be welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne. Here, we are building a community of refuge where all have equal worth and are invited into spiritual exploration as a foundation for hope, compassionate service, and action.
This is a place where questions are encouraged, a place with room for all of who you are.
This is a place full of works in progress, a place for being human together.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Settle in and exhale. This is a time for community.
So I'm Audrey Bunton, and I'm here today both as a worship associate and as a member of the board to welcome you to this church, where we are on a shared journey to find meaning, connection, and community together. If you are new to us, please fill out one of the welcome cards. They're framed in blue in the front of your pew. And this allows us to connect with you about our services, activities, and help find what nourishes your spirit here. There are also note cards in your pew for writing any joys or sorrows for the pastoral prayer. We pass a square basket during the offering to gather these. Write your name, or you can remain anonymous. You can write "Do Not Share" on the card if there's something that you want held in care by our minister and pastoral care team, but not spoken aloud. Many activities and events happen each week in this community. Here are a few of them, and you can find others on the back of the insert in your order of service. If you would like to help staff our Pride booth and offer glitter blessings to those who celebrate Pride, please sign up on the sheet at coffee hour today. Pride is next Saturday, the 21st, from noon to 6 p.m. near the depot. And we'd love to see you there, whether you can help out as glitter blessing fairy or just stop by the booth to say hello. Let Andrea Shipley know if you can help set up or take down the booth, as we especially could use extra helpers for those times. And since Andrea's not here today, you could also mention that to Jed, and Jed can get word to Andrea. Some of our Thursday events, the Ministry of Music and Bring Your Own Cards, are on a summer break. We are excited to see you back in August and September and hope your summer is awesome. And we'll make sure you're welcomed and informed when these groups return. And that was Bring Your Own Crafts, not cards, my mistake. Do you have treasures to donate to the garage sale? Place them on the stage behind the social hall. Please donate items you think people will buy: kitchen appliances, sporting goods, yard items, good clothing, or other gently used items. The garage sale itself will need setup volunteers on July 11th, just about in a month, followed by the sale itself on July 12th. We gather in person and on Zoom each week, giving from our resources to sustain the work of this church and share our abundance with community organizations, broadening the reach of our values. You can find the text to give number in your order of service, or use your Realm app for electronic giving, or your Share the Plate offerings and pledges may also be dropped in the baskets in a few moments as they pass. We want to let you know that we do not have a Share the Plate partner for the month of June. For this morning's offering, we ask you to consider our current budget shortfall and the building repairs that need our attention. Your generosity helps sustain our beloved community and care for the space we share. Please give from your heart as you are able. Thank you.
And so, with gratitude, we receive these offerings for the gathered community and the wider one as well. From our very first breath, we reach out, for co-regulation, not self-regulation, is in our nature. We find our cues from the sun and the moon, from each parent and caregiver. We find our place on this great turning planet by turning to one another. Generation to generation, we awaken to the dawn, fall asleep at the evening's end. Our life journey is part of something greater, something simple, something divine. A flame cannot be lit without a spark. A life cannot begin without the air, and we cannot begin to find ourselves without love. May we reach out to one another. May we offer love and nurturing care. May we join together in celebration of the interdependence of our lives once more. In this spirit, let us worship together. And so for our opening hymn, I invite you to turn in your gray hymnals, rising in body or in spirit, to join us in singing number 361, which is Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. If you'd like to help lead our hymns, you are always welcome to come up on stage and be a part of that group as well.
Today's chalice lighting reading is by Carol Allman Morton, who writes, "On Father's Day, we honor those people who have been teachers, confidants, and friends. We acknowledge that it is not just biology that makes a parent, but love and attention. For those of us that have lost a father or a child, we hold their memories in our hearts. For all of us who are fathers, we ask for continued help in discerning how best to care for our children, whether they are 5 or 50 years old. May the strands of relationship between ourselves and all of creation grow ever stronger. May all of us, no matter what our place in the cycle of life, experience, nurture, and love. And may we pass on that love to those we encounter on our own paths. So now, if there's anyone who's young or young at heart who would like to join us up on the chancel at this time to help lead in speaking our covenant in unison before our time for all ages. And you can find that inside your order of service.
Yes, and we can find that here on our script. We begin, love is the spirit of this church, and service its cause. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth, and to help others. So let's have a seat and talk about a little story. This was put together by a religious educator called Denise Tracy. And it's a story about someone who's quite famous in Unitarian Universalism, but this is not about one of his famous moments. It's about one of his kind of everyday times. So, a father asked his daughter, "What do you want for your birthday?" It was the 1800s, so he was a little bit of a gender essentialist. He said, "Do you want a doll?" And she went, "No." "A tea set?"
No.
No. "A pony?"
No.
Some people are nodding, but this little girl said no. "No, Father," she said, "I have had a year to think about this, and I want this year to be a special year to remember." "All right," he said, "you let me know what you would like." And so she thought and thought. The girl's name was Ellen, and she thought about all the things she could have. A new dress, chocolate, books, a lace collar, hair ribbons. None of these were what she wanted. What would be more special? Each day, as her birthday approached, her father would ask, "Ellen, do you know what you want for your birthday yet?" And Ellen would shake her head, "I'm still thinking." After 4 days, as her father began to ask Ellen, she said, "Yes, I have decided." And she said, "I have a riddle for you. I will tell you the riddle, and it will tell you what gift I want for my birthday." So the riddle is this: you cannot buy it, for it is worth all the money you have, but only you can give it. And so he began to think. He said, "I need to repeat this riddle, so I know I have it for certain, because it will tell me what gift you want for your birthday. I cannot buy it, because it is worth all the money I have, but only I can give it. Is that right?" Ellen said, "Yes." "Well," he said, "then it is my turn to think about your riddle and find the perfect present in the mystery." So he paced and he pondered and he thought and he wondered and he repeated the riddle over and over until finally he smiled. "I think I know what this is." And then he had to think about how to give that gift. When Ellen's birthday came, there was no wrapped box from her father. She didn't expect one. After she had opened all of her presents from her brother and sister and her mother and grandmother after the cake was all gone and the celebration over. Ellen's father said, "Now it is time for Ellen's present from me." And so Ellen climbed into the armchair with her father and sat in his lap. He said, "My present to you is very special, and I hope it is what you wanted, for it is not a book or a doll, not a toy or clothes. It is a present for all seasons and for each day." And I'm going to pause for just a second, because I think some of us might want to guess what this gift could be. Does anyone have a guess? Some folks think it's love.
Candy, probably.
Or candy. Also pretty sweet. So what he said was, "This year, your birthday present from me is that we will spend time together every week, just the two of us. For you are very special, and I love you dearly."
Oh,
And Ellen said, "Oh, Father, I knew you would figure out the riddle." And then she said, "Father, you're crying." He said, "Yes, because I love you. You teach me more than any book I've ever read or written." Now I have a kid and I get all teary about these things. So thank you all for holding with me in that. And he said, "By giving you time, I will gain more than I can give." It was Ellen's turn to figure out this riddle. How could her father, by spending time with her, get more than he gave? And finally, she thought, because love multiplies. And this is how it goes from generation to generation. And her father understood it. So he wrote, years later, an essay on giving called "Give Yourself." That father we know as Ralph Waldo Emerson, a Unitarian minister, a poet, a founder of the Transcendentalist movement. Aw, and Carmen's going, "Yeah, well." And so my hope this Father's Day is that we can each think, whether it's our own father or another caregiver, of someone who gave you the gift of time, of energy, of love. So many children experience care like this from a father or a caregiver or a mentor. And days when we celebrate that, like Father's Day, are a great time to honor that and celebrate that kind of nurturing love. And so, as our story is done, we'll enter into a time of prayer. And I invite you to think of and lift up those who offered a fatherly or a parental love in your lives. Now we'll head to our seats. Thank you. And now, as we enter into a spirit of prayer, we offer words by Amy Jones. Today is Father's Day. We take this moment to hold space for all that may mean to us. We hold love for those who have lost fathers and for fathers who have lost children. We acknowledge and hold non-binary and transgender and cisgender dads and families made of two dads and foster and adoptive dads and single dads.
We hold and work to lift up all fathers of color and those fathers raising children of color.
We hold in our hearts fathers kept apart from their children by borders and war. We hold fathers and children who have lost connection, children who have been disowned or abandoned by their fathers, and the father figures who step in.
We hold those longing to become fathers. We hold those who may be full of questions about their biological fathers. Most importantly, we hold and thank the dads, the papas, the daddies, and all who show up every day to give their all to the children who need them.
Human relations are complicated. These days of recognition are complex. So take a moment to breathe in what serves you and breathe out what does not, as we hold room for all these things. And in this time, on this day as well, we hold all of those in our heart who are part of our community, immediate and expansive. We hold love for all those who protest, all those who showed up yesterday following the directives of their conscience and the call of faith to support the thriving of all people. We hold gratitude for those whose good work is keeping their neighbors who are immigrants or racially profiled safer. We offer our thanks alongside Lauren Danley, who had a skin cancer procedure this past week. We offer our hopes for healing and well-being. We offer our thoughts for wellness and for peace to those who are struggling with substance use, which strains relationships or their own health. We ask that you remember and hold in your heart Barbara Guilford, whose husband Dennis passed away last week. And we offer prayers for a friend of the church, Susanna Wall. She is in California with her mother, who is in the hospital on life support. May we reach out to those we know personally. May we hold in our prayers, in our thoughts, in our hearts, those who we may not know, but know that they are part of our interdependence. May we, as always, acknowledge the world which holds and grounds us, this beautiful, warming season, as the poppies bloom and the roses give off their best scents. So we know that summer is fleeting, especially here in Wyoming. May we honor and find joy in all that which is timely and which we hold as special, and hold room in our hearts for all kinds of joys, including those yet unshared and those sorrows too tender to be spoken aloud. In this space, may we find peace and comfort and community that enfolds us. Amen, and blessed be.
Our sacred message for today is Psalm 139, verses 1 to 15 by David. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Thank you, Lloyd. That was beautiful. Our chorus, Undrowned by Alexis Pauline Gums. This it comes from Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals. Breath is a practice of presence. One of the physical characteristics that unites us with marine mammals is that they process air in a way very similar to us. Though they spend most or all of their time in water, they do not have gills. We too, on land, are often navigating contexts that seem impossible for us to breathe in, and yet we must. The adaptations that marine mammals have made in relationship to breathing are some of the most relevant for us to observe, not only in relationship to our survival in an atmosphere we have polluted on a planet where we are causing the oceans to rise, but also in relationship to our intentional living, our mindful relation to each other. Let us take this opportunity to look at what blocks our breathing and the stakes of a society that puts profit over breath. May our breathing open up to the possibility of peace. There is more than one way to breathe in the Arctic. Ask the narwhal, beluga, and bowhead whales. Beluga shapeshifts, evolved to look like ice itself, and congregates in the shallow estuaries, singing. Narwhal stays in the deeper water, nearer to pack ice, grows a horn to break ice, to break through, changes color over its life, needs no other teeth, just the one. Bowhead says bigger is better and moves alone, strong enough to break ice with a bare skull, old enough to remember all of this, never stops growing. And you? Maybe it's time to remember that there is more than one way to breathe in icy depths or summer heat. To thank your ancestors for how you have evolved in the presence of polar bears, harpoons, and other threats. To think about what you might want to shift, how you want to grow, what you need to remember.
And Gums continues, me, it was always you I loved, not your elegant strategies. I will love you still. If you now outgrow it, I will love you more whether time moves backwards or forwards, whether ice melts or water freezes back, whether your next move is protection or breakthrough, or shift, or any combination. There are at least 3 ways to love you: as you were, as you are, and as you will be. I love you. That means I choose all 3. This love, the love that loves you unconditionally and chooses you in all your ways of being, is what lives at the heart of nurturing. The willingness to love a person through all their growth, a person as they were, as you are, and as you will be, to honor what we have come from and how we are growing, without losing that real and needed truth that we are each enough already, just as you are. We are whole, holy, and worthy of care in every stage of our lives, in every move, in every mood, beyond what we do, because we are part of a circle of care, part of the living, breathing being of this planet together. And that means that we have our responsibility to be part of the nurturing, of the caring as well. This Father's Day, every Father's Day, is a chance to think again about how we care and are cared for, how we nurture one another, how we tend our young. The deeper work is that of shaping our world through caring for that one small piece of humanity as a stand-in, a representation of all the hope we can have for all of humanity. When we think of this holiday as an opportunity to build solidarity for a more balanced and thoughtful and loving practice of our values, what might it look like? A non-toxic masculinity that uses strength toward care and protection. We have seen it. That nurturing has grown our beings for so many of us, using what men have been taught of fixing, of building, of protection, of creation, to nurture children into strong and tender adults who build relationships, fix conflicts or broken hearts, create peace and joy and love in the world. Children who are committed to not violence or destruction, but building and being with one another, knowing that they too are beloved by those who nurture them in all the ways they are and have been and will be. You might be thinking about some of those who have nurtured you or who help you in nurturing those who are young in your life. My own childhood was one of nurture and care. And it came along with that, the stories of those who came before, the fathers, the grandfathers, the ancestors. My mom related to me how her parents had worked together to desegregate restaurants back in the 50s and 60s who refused to serve Black customers in the Cincinnati area. She told me how they would sit together, a Black couple and a white couple, together at a table waiting to see if they would be served. It took courage, she said, to stay even when there were comments, even when there was shouting and upset people, but it was the right thing to do. She told me how her father responded when a local burger restaurant refused to serve his integrated Cub Scout troop that he was leading, how he never went back, and beyond that, told this story to friends and family for decades, encouraging them in a small boycott to choose to spend their money where their values were upheld instead. In this process of telling me of my grandfather and my grandmother, she was teaching me what dedication to justice can look like and the ways one might resist. My dad told me about his own grandfather, spending time after World War II in Japan with the military, working as defense counsel for Japanese officers accused of war crimes, and how this changed him, how he upheld the rights even of people who had done horrible things, remembering that justice is important for everyone, that fairness, that caring for the humanity of every person is about ourselves. Even those who have caused great harm must be able to be held in a society with many different races and cultures, much difference, that holding each of these people as worthy of a just process means that we all live in a society where we can trust one another and who we are This story now centers me in love, knowing that right now in this country, people are being accused because they are immigrants of being criminal, of engaging in criminal behavior simply for living their lives, or as an excuse to make it okay with that we are treating them in an unjust fashion. But we know that love reaches out. I know from the way that I was taught, the way that I was told of my own family's stories, that we learn to be loving and kind, to take honesty and justice and courage seriously, that this is part of our shared history and of our faith. The circle of those who nurtured me became so much larger when I joined the Unitarian Universalist Church. Through our religious educators and ministers, I learned about ancestors of our common heritage, like Ralph Waldo Emerson, who we used a story from this morning, John Haynes Holmes, who sought peace even in times of trouble during our world wars, the love of fathers for their children and for the world, offering this as their spiritual gift. I found elders and mentors in my own congregation. Helen and Dick Henry, former ministers of the Denver Church, worked for indigenous rights with the American Indian movement and formed connections of trust with Navajo and Hopi community members that allowed me, as a high school youth, to visit reservations to the south of us and learn more about Native American spirituality and about the way how it is to be one who has been on this land, settled in a place for over 1,000 years, to care so deeply and with such a long-ranging view of what it means to be part of land and people. As you listen, I hope you've been able to move through your own mind, your own memories, and find resonance and connection with your family and mentors, people who have inspired you, nurtured you, offered you language for your values, connections of courage, helped deepen your convictions of what is right and just and builds the beloved community. For it is through our ancestors and our nurturers that we learn of love. It is through stories of the sacred and secular traditions that we find and cultivate our values, name what we need. Like we heard in Psalms, how we hear of nurturing changes us, lets us learn to express our care through creative action. How we have taught our children through years includes the biblical traditions and all our sacred stories, all the ways that we teach now, often through picture books, Dr. Seuss, or other rhymes, where we remember, oh, the places you'll go, the things you will know, the things you will do with who knows who. All of that comes to us generation by generation. I was showing a child in my life, not my own child, she's a little too young for these conversations, but I was showing another child in my life a book that was given by a person in this congregation called A is for Activist. By the second page, we needed to have a little conversation. You see, the second page is B is for banner, billowing in the breeze, and that banner is very high up on a crane. This child wanted to know if being attached to such a big banner so high above the ground was really safe, or maybe it was B as for bad ideas. Luckily, She was with me, an activist who has done industrial climbing for protests. And so I was able to explain more about what their strategies were, how we are tethered and given safety with additional lines that you can't see in that picture. So even if the banner were moved or pulled around by the wind, those people would still be safe. Through my own connections, the way I had been taught, I could confidently reassure this child of the connections that held up my friends on that banner and the other ways that she might support an action if being up high in the sky still felt too scary, even with that knowledge. Did you know, I said, they had also a person on the ground on a radio standing below to tell them from the ground how everything looked, to check the weather, to see if anyone was coming or help make sure that anyone who wanted to get them to come down could do that safely? So the people on top were never alone or surprised by anything while they were up there. Oh, she said, that's really good to know. And so we return to Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Gumbs wonders, what are the intergenerational practices that generated dorsal fins in some dolphins and whales? What experience-based wisdom resulted in the ever-expanding spines and blubber of bowhead whales, or the adaptation of sideways swimming in river dolphins? What do blue whales know that lets them fast all day and sing across the planet? I believe, Gumbs says, in the possibility of dorsal and stabilizing practices in our own lives. I am committed to the development of backbone and core muscle in the crooked life of at least one person with scoliosis, me, she says. We can cultivate practices for finding each other in a shifting world. We can each create an intentional approach to what we take in and put out. What are the intergenerational and evolutionary ways that we become what we practice? How can we navigate oppressive environments with core practices that build community and resistance and more loving ways of living? These questions come back again and again. And today, Father's Day, a day of nurturing and care, is a day to ask, what are the intergenerational and evolutionary ways that we become what we practice? And so what will we practice? How will we find our balance, reach our core values, realign our lives again and again from what is convenient to what we deeply believe? How will we resist being pushed around by the waves that come at us in our own lives and teach that resilience and balance to those for whom we care and nurture? How will we bring our practices of resistance through the generations? For many of us, that is spiritual community, that is family, that is learning and teaching where the holy comes into our lives, whether we believe in a God or something else. It is knowing that connections are deep and strong across generations, and that we are part of the responsibility to teach and care as well. So may it be. And in this spirit, I invite you to look in your teal hymnal for hymn number 1051, and to rise in body or in spirit and join in our sung response, which is "We Are" by Ysaye Barnwell.
And now please stay standing or stand back up as we extinguish our chalice flame and speak together the words in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again.
And so on this day of fathers, this day of nurturers and caregivers, may we hold in our hearts all that is good, all that is loving, all that is caring in the world around us and in ourselves that allows us to offer care in the week ahead, in the days of our lives, to build the beloved community. May it be so. And blessed be. I love your shirt.
I love that I can wear this shirt.
And have me go, heck yeah, yeah.